purpose of this presentation is to share with you what Foundation for Blind Children offers as far as services, in particular in partnership with districts in charters in the K-12 setting. So kind of going through the agenda for today, you'll get an introduction of the team that supports students, pretty much running the age span, giving you an overview of programs that might be able to support your students this year, regardless of a virtual, hybrid, in-person, and everything in between. We'll do a Q&A as far as any questions you have, particular to your district or school, depending upon where you're coming from, and then we can talk through next steps. And then I'll share this slide deck once we get started, so you guys have copies. It'll have obviously the names of presenters today, email addresses, and then obviously the slide deck. So if you need any reminders as far as what we touched on, we'll kind of go from there. All right, so introductions. My name's Jared Kittleson. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Foundation for Blind Children. So I help oversee our programs running birth all the way through adult and transition services. You'll hear from Jamie Pacadera, Director of Early Childhood, overseeing the early intervention and campus-based programs. Jay Whipple is our itinerant manager, supports a team of, I think, 11 TVIs and O&Ms that span the state of Arizona. Julie Oliver, Director of Adult and Transition Services, works a lot with our teen programs, our summer programs, as well as our adult program. Chris Hawk, our IT manager, is going to talk to you about how to support some of the assistive technology needs in your school or district. And then Jared Leslie, our Director of Media Center, is going to talk all things alternative format with you on how to support your students with materials. So like I said, we're here as partners. There are a ton of questions this year, but Foundation for Blind Children can help take one less worry away off your plate by being able to basically provide wraparound services for students in your district and in your school. So let's go ahead and we'll start and hear from Jamie Pacadera.
Thanks, Jared. Hi, everyone. So I wanted to let you know what our preschool and elementary programs are going to look like for this upcoming school year. So these are our school-based programs at all three of our campuses, our West Valley campus, our East Valley campus, and our Central campus. Our plan is to begin school remotely on August 3rd. We are going to have our students participate in synchronous and asynchronous learning throughout the week. For the in-person learning, we haven't decided that return date yet. We are waiting on the guidance from the governor and the state superintendent that we're supposed to have this week. However, once in-person learning does resume, we're going to give parents the option of continuing the remote learning throughout the school year, or if they want to send their students in person. So either way, parents will have that choice to be able to choose. Whether they are doing in-person or remote learning, all of the related services that are outlined on the child's IEP will be provided. The students will receive teletherapy. The therapists will still work on the IEP goals, but they're going to be working in conjunction with the classroom teacher to make it educationally relevant. So that will be done in person. If the parents choose the in-person model, but while we're remote, they will receive that teletherapy remotely. Music therapy will be offered virtually throughout the school year. Typically, we have that in person, but once we resume in person, that will still be offered virtually. And then all of our MET evaluation meetings, our IEP meetings, any meeting we have to have with the districts, we're going to hold those virtually, whether we are in person or we're doing our remote learning. And so that's to reduce how many people we have on campus. So that's our plan to support our students for this upcoming school year.
And just in addition, our campus-based programs run preschool through fourth grade, and we're an approved private day provider through the Department of Education. So I encourage you, if placement is something that can help support your students, to reach out to Jamie.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Jay Whipple, who leads our itinerant team.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to speak to you. Let's see if I can make my camera work here. Perhaps not. Like Jared said, I'm the itinerant manager here at Foundation for Blind Children, and that encompasses 2 different types of providers that we can send to your districts, your schools, to serve your students. Those are teachers of the visually impaired, our TVIs, and our orientation and mobility specialists, our O&Ms. The services, like Jamie mentioned, we are going to be very flexible when it comes to virtual versus in-person. We realize that every school and every district may have some slightly different policies, and our teachers are prepared to be flexible to provide in-person or virtual services as needed. And of course, the landscape is constantly changing. So if we are getting new directions from the state, we'll follow those as well. The services that our TVIs can help provide are functional vision assessments. I didn't put it on there, but learning media assessments as well. They can do Braille and alternative format instruction, help your students learn to use assistive technologies and to help them access their materials in their curriculum, and just generally be more comfortable in their classroom and more be able to participate more with their classmates and their teacher. They implement the expanded core curriculum, which is, we could spend a lot of time talking about the expanded core curriculum, and I'd be happy to answer questions about it if you have them. And then they help participate in the creation and implementation of the IEPs and the MET meetings as well. So they're a full partner with your team to serve your students. Our O&M providers they perform assessments so that they can kind of get a sense of baseline of where your students are and what they need in terms of safe travel and cane use. They instruct in cane techniques and how to care for their canes, and if need be, can help order new canes and repair canes, that kind of thing. They teach safe and independent travel instruction in all sorts of community environments, so not just on your campus, but out in the world as well. So they can learn public transportation and street crossings and all of the things that are necessary for your students to travel safely and independently. And of course, they participate in the creations of IEPs and implementation of the IEPs and the METs as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. All right, next up is Julie Oliver. She's a director of adult and transition services, to talk about different programs available to some of your teen students.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. One of the pushes that I would like to see for this upcoming school year is making sure that students who are in high school are getting ready for that next transition, and that really becomes part of vocational rehabilitation services. There are gaps in the awareness about vocational rehabilitation services, and then the enrollment is not where it needs to be. And so I will be working actively with our itinerant providers and any personnel from the district to ensure that we're getting those students and families aware of the services that are provided by Voc Rehab for our blind and visually impaired young people, as well as getting them registered. And the why it's important to get them registered is because I think, as all of you know, once those students leave their public school or their high school or charter school, the game changes for them. And we need to make sure that they're equipped with knowing the services and the supporting mechanisms that are available for them. There are a few options for students. One in particular that I don't think there is a lot of awareness of in Arizona is something called PRE-ETS, which stands for Pre-Employment Transition Services. This is available for any student who has a 504 plan. They do not have to have an IEP yet that's formalized. This could be for a student who has low vision but hasn't formalized any specific plan. it's really the same type of services that are available for those students who then have qualified for vocational rehabilitation services as a formal client, but it's really, I see it as that stepping stone. I would love to see us get more of our students who are blind or visually impaired involved in pre-employment transition services, and then naturally migrate into our transition experiences, which are in summer and throughout the school year. The big thing that we all need to be aware of is getting those students prepared for that transition into college, post-secondary education, or into their vocation of choice. FBC has a lot of options for the students, and we cover everything from work-based learning, so maybe an internship or externship, work readiness, as well as the most important thing, which is self-advocacy and becoming a leader in any type of way. And so I will be partnering with vocational rehabilitation services as well as our itinerant team, and can make myself available to anyone in the district to put on any sort of webinar or lunch and learn to make sure that we're getting these students the services that they need.
Awesome. Excellent, Julie. Next up is Chris Hawk, our IT manager. Just talk through our assistive technology program and how we can support your students.
Awesome. Thanks, Jared, and good morning, everyone. Yeah, so I'm the IT manager here at the Foundation for Blind Children, and we support all the assistive technology that comes through the foundation. And one of the largest programs that we have is our MLB Assistive Technology Lease Program for school districts. Technology it's a growing need for all students, especially right now. But it's especially imperative to our visually impaired and blind students to be able to access information that their peers are accessing. So assistive technology could be any device really that helps a student with a disability, but we're primarily looking at the devices for blind and visually impaired students. So the Assistive Technology Lease Program is for students K through 12. It can be students in any of our other programs or not. And this is for any student anywhere in the state of Arizona, whether they're homeschool, charter school, public school district. The program, it's a flat rate program to provide the student with every piece of technology that we're able to provide them, despite what's needed. So one of the big benefits of the program and goals of the program is to make sure that the barrier, or to break down those barriers for getting the technology to the students. So if you've dealt with acquiring assistive technology, you can know that it's kind of a complex, it's very complex to kind of pick what you need, what the student needs, and as well as the financial side of it. So one of the first things we do is the assistive technology assessment, and that's included with the program. And that's us sitting down with the student and the teacher and working through what really the student needs, what will help them in the classroom or from home virtually to be able to access that same information that all their peers are accessing. So acquiring assistive technology through a lease program, one of the biggest benefits is it lowers the risk for a school or district. And it does that because the students can be very transient, they could be close to graduation, and the equipment can be very expensive. So it can be hard for a district to make that investment in a bunch of equipment for a student that they don't know will stick around or maybe graduating soon. And it also is changing so quickly. So as we all know, technology changes very rapidly. Software becomes outdated, hardware, new hardware becomes available that's better. So by doing the lease program per school year, it gives you that opportunity to always get the latest and greatest equipment for your students. And then the one of the other biggest benefits through this program is the technical support. So many technical staff don't have the expertise with assistive technology, and that's just due to the very niche market. So we have a staff that's very familiar with all the assistive technology around the blind and visually impaired community, and so we're able to provide that support to the leased equipment. And to just a couple of the items that are pretty common, even though every student is different, and we make sure that we're providing the equipment that's necessary for the student. But laptop computers preloaded with software such as JAWS or ZoomText. Fusion is those two combined together. iPads with specific apps such as KNFB Reader and some other apps that are specific to blind and visually impaired students. CCTVs, both standalone and ones that connect with computers, as well as refreshable Braille displays for the blind students. So those are just some of the items. We have a lot more and are very flexible, making sure that the student gets everything that they need.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Chris. Next up is Jared Leslie. He's our Director of Media Services. Talk to you about our alternative format services.
Thanks, Jared. Good morning, everyone. So again, my name is Jared Leslie. I'm Director of Media Services here at the Foundation for Blind Children. There's a lot of things that fall under media services. In particular, you think of the classic textbooks. So anything that has an ISBN, whether that is a biology textbook and an advanced placement class, to a literary book like The Hatchet. So all of those being available in some type of alternative format. So alternative formats cover Braille, large print, and electronic text. One of the largest requests is for large print. So generally we take a print textbook, whether that's the literary or a regular textbook, and then we would produce that in an 18-point font so that unassisted, the visually impaired student can read through that without any magnification or minimal magnification. Then we have our electronic text. So electronic text is just as it sounds. It's a Word document that's produced off of that textbook format. We worked with the Arizona State University to be able to create a uniform format that matches the transition into college, which includes image descriptions and then standard formats to the way that things that normally you and I would see visually are displayed in a print format. That can be used both with a screen reader or used with a Braille display as well to be able to represent Braille if that's what's needed. Then you have the classic Braille, the physical Braille that's produced. So that we have two categories. So we have the K through 8, and then we have the Braille for grades 9 through 12. The reason for the difference is just the amount of transcription that's created for both categories. K through 8 roughly comes out to around $5,000 worth of production, and then the 9 through 12 is roughly around $10,000 worth of production. What we charge for districts is 25% of that cost at a flat rate. So you can request as many of text that you need, no matter the amount and expertise. We're able to produce that, whether it's a math textbook to a highly graphical geometry book to any type of foreign language. We produce that. For us, we have about 110 different transcribers that we pull from nationally to create those texts. With the transition for textbooks you had in 2016, there was a format change. We were a part of that transition to Unified English Braille. So a lot of the textbooks that were produced for years and years and years are now becoming obsolete. So the demand for new transcriptions has grown quite a bit and increased over the years. So for us, for an alternative formats, we are in this current situation, we are sending through the mail to student addresses, school addresses, all by the direction of districts and teachers of the visually impaired that give us those directions as far as where best to place that, because it's kind of a mix in each kind of district as far as where things are going to be placed. In addition to the ISBN formats that we create, you also have Braille on Demand. So in the classroom, you don't just have the ISBN materials, you also have PowerPoints, handouts, things that the teachers create for that day-to-day interaction. And so Braille on Demand was something that was created to be able to meet that demand for the classroom. With some of the transcribers leaving the workforce after that transition to UEB, there was less and less people that were available to be able to produce that. For us, we had that national reach as far as transcribers that are working with us. So Braille on Demand was born as a way to be able to electronically give access to every teacher in the state of Arizona the same way as if you were making a regular kind of print copy. So the way that it works is essentially the teacher sends an email that includes a PDF of the material that needs to be transcribed into Braille. That comes into us and electronically goes to the transcriber. The transcriber creates that document, then emails that back to the teacher or the teacher's aide, and then that is embossed on site. That way it cuts down on mailing time if we need to get that physically there, and it allows for a more rapid response. So the Braille on Demand program, for each request that comes in, we have a request ceiling of 48 hours. So we can deliver faster than that, but 48 hours is generally what we see for the turnaround for any requests that come in. That's a page limit of about 10 print pages per request to be able to allow for that 48-hour turnaround, but you have access to certified transcribers that are generating high quality Braille that's electronically being produced in the classroom. In the current setting right now, we do have embossers that are actually placed within the home setting, and then we also have some that have opted to receive things through the mail. That's caused a little bit of kind of just different timelines, just depending upon the teachers, the way that they prefer to work. So if they have weeks of coursework put together, or if they're doing preparation week after week, then we kind of respond in turn of how we can help. That also includes the lease of the embosser and then also transcription software. As Chris had alluded to, some of the assistive technologies rather touchy for it. So it helps to be able to have a IT support, not only in Chris, but also from my department here, as far as the media services, to be able to make sure that we can get those up and running and available in whatever setting that might be. Additionally, we have the federal quota program. We refer to my department as the Media Center, but it's also known as the Arizona Instructional Resource Center as well, and that is in turn due to federal quota. So federal quota is access to educational supplies for the visually impaired through a federal program, which we manage for the state of Arizona for both the public and private nonprofits. Included in that are some of the specialized equipment that you think of as far as braillers, braille paper, any type of different technology that's available through that as well. Some embossers available, some magnifiers, and that is available free of charge for that. So we manage the inventory that's on our shelves to make sure that we can check out as much things out to students as we possibly can. When you think about the cost to be able to fully kind of furnish a student with everything that's needed when they're, say, a Braille reader, that total comes to about $38,000. If you look at the numbers as far as the Braille textbooks to the specialized software and a number of different things, this program allows for us to be able to maintain an inventory to try and curb that cost for that, and then also make sure that every student has access to the same information as their sighted peers.
Awesome.